Hello, everybody. Welcome into the Triple Threat Show. We are your hosts, Jeremy Lapidus, Mehrob Fatemi, and Nolan Jambor. Welcome in. We have a lot to talk about today. Today is going to be a heavy college football show, and then we're going to get into a little bit on Thursday Night Football, a potential preview of the NFC Championship game over in Lambeau between the Commanders and the Packers. We'll talk about that, but we're going to start off our show here, guys, with a little bit of college football. We skipped top 25 last week because last week was a mess on our part, but we're going to get into it every single Wednesday, our top 25, and I'll start off here with my honorable mentions, the ones that just barely missed out on being in the very heralded top 25 teams. I have 6 teams that just barely missed out here for you. Michigan, the Wolverines lose the only top 25 battle. I have them falling out of the top 25 from the AP poll. Baylor, also there. They won a big game against number 17 SMU. I wanted to put them in, but I could not quite find a spot for them. Too many teams still above them at this point in the season. SMU, likewise, also not there. They lose to Baylor. I've got a little bit of concerns about the quarterback injury now that Jennings potentially going to miss some time with an injury he suffered on the second to last play that they played on offense. Mississippi State with a walk-off win against number 12 Arizona State gets them into the receiving votes category for me. Georgia Tech looked really good yet again, even without quarterback Hayes King. They are in my receiving votes. And the last one receiving votes is BYU. They've looked really solid, even despite the offseason tumultuous issues with quarterback Jake Retzlaff no longer being on the roster. They've still looked like a very competent team over in the Big 12, and they're a team that I think is going to make some noise as the season goes on. Those are my 6 teams receiving votes, or in my honorable mentions here as far as my college football top 25 goes. Any of them, Mehrob, that you would have had in your top 25 if you were making a list here?
I'm really kind of shocked by a couple of these teams. Kentucky getting into the top 25. That is, or actually not Kentucky. I apologize. Um, Actually, I take that back. Yeah, no, not too shocked about some of these teams. It's right after week one or technically week one because week 0 is a thing in college football. Um, yeah, I mean, this should be a fun week. We got a couple top 25 matchups coming up. We've already seen South Florida take down Florida, and we thought Florida was going to be one of those teams that could be really interesting this year when it comes to the football world. Across the board, I mean, it's nice to see some of these small schools getting into the top 25, but I can't be too shocked about how it's been.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Go for it.
Oh, thanks. I'm just looking at your list right now, and some of the teams. Honestly, if I were you, I feel like Michigan not being in the top 25. I like that. I think they're them jumping up so high in the preseason polls just from just getting Brett Underwood, jumping from a 7-5 record last year. Granted, they did beat Ohio State, and they were 21.5 point underdogs, and they beat them, but they were unranked going into the season. Start of the year at the 14th spot, and they lose, and they drop out of the top 25. I can honestly maybe they're the 25th best team, but they're 23rd. I know they're 23rd in the actual poll, but I mean, I think I could see why you have them out. I think they're honestly just not that good of a team without maybe Bryce Underwood. But yeah, I like your list a lot. I just want to say that I like your list. I think at Baylor, I think they could be 25th. I just think they're a solid team. I think they have a lot of their schedule isn't too hard to where the point where they're chasing a lot of challenging opponents, and their offense is pretty good. So I think they could be maybe top 25 soon, but right now I can see why they're off. That's all I want to say.
Yeah, we'll have to see. It's going to be a big week in college football this week, but getting into the top 25 a little bit. We'll go 5 at a time, and then I'll open up the floor to you boys. 25 to 20 here, or 25 to 21, excuse me. Indiana continues to hold on to their spot. Their big concern for me, it's going to be that soft schedule. Kurt Cignetti has done a very good job with that program, and I think that's a team that is a fringe playoff contender yet again, but they have to prove that they're better than these teams. They played a little tight against ODU in week 1. Week 2, they took care of business against yet another not that great football team. they're going to have to keep winning big in order to stay on this list. They almost fell out for me. Louisville stays in the top 25 for me despite looking shaky against James Madison. I think that James Madison team is one of the more underrated teams in football. Now, again, I am a little biased. I went to James Madison. James Madison is very good at football, but that run defense is real for JMU, and Louisville was still able to solve it at the end. Their defense is no joke. Louisville is going to be a very potent offense. Isaac Brown, potential Heisman kind of season loading for him at the running back position. Auburn at 23, they got a big win over Baylor in week 1. They continue their dominance in week 2. I like Auburn a lot. I was surprised they were able to take care of a team like Baylor, especially on the road, but they did it, and I like this team a lot. Missouri takes care of the border war against Kansas, and Jalen Daniels, number 6 on Kansas over there. That was a really good game. I was really impressed with Missouri's ability to come back. They were down early in that game by a couple scores. They came back and they really dominated on down the stretch in that second half. I was really impressed with them. And at 21, I have Texas Tech. That is a Red Raiders team that is going to surprise a lot of people, a potential real contender coming out of the Big 12.
Sure, I'll take it first. Louisville, you've been very up on Louisville the entire offseason, and even with their very close game against JMU, I still think they're still going to be probably, you have the top 25. I think they can be top 20 in these rankings by end of the week. I think that their offense, kind of like Baylor's, is just so well-rounded. They have a sleeper, like you love their quarterback. I forgot his name, but they have a great quarterback over there, and he makes weapons. He's kind of like Lamar Jackson, not really, but like people he's like the next coming of Lamar Jackson for Louisville. He's a great player, great athlete, makes plays. I also feel like college football is good when Auburn's good, and seeing them at 2-0 is always a good thing because I also have some friends who go to Auburn, and that's all they just believe that. They're like, Auburn football is so back. So I mean, I guess I'll take it from them. But if you're like it, I'm liking Auburn. I think they also have they just have a really well-rounded team. I think they'll be a good team in the very competitive SEC this year. Missouri, I feel like Missouri also could be a little higher. Missouri was a great team last year, 8-4, I believe, but they were top 10. They were a top 15 team at one point, and top 10, I believe. And they were I think they can honestly make their way back up there. They didn't really lose too many people in the portal, and their team is basically the same. So I think they can be higher towards the end of the week. And Texas Tech, I mean, I've really heard too much from Texas Tech. Obviously, I don't follow them too heavily. But if you have them at 21, there's a reason they're that high. So I'm gonna take your word for it and assume that they're legit.
20 getting into the next 5 here. I've got Utah, a real contender, a favorite right now out of the Big 12. They finally got an offense. That was their big issue. Because Cam Rising was dealing with so many injuries last year, they didn't have an offense. Cam Rising not the quarterback anymore, but they found a quarterback, and now that they have an offense, this is yet again a team that I expect to make a playoff push out of the Big 12. Ole Miss at 19. It's a little bit lower than a lot of other people have this Ole Miss Rebel squad, but I was not impressed by their game against Kentucky. I know it was the first SEC game of the season. But still, that's not what you want to see when you're talking about a team that has playoff level expectations on them. They almost lost that game only by 7 to a Kentucky squad that seems forever to go 4-8 in the college in every single college football season. At number 18, Alabama. I was real high on this Alabama squad. They obviously have let down a big loss against Florida State in week 1. Week 2, they just decimate their opponent. They needed to go out and have a good showing. Kalen DeBoer got the boys ready to play. I think Florida State is a really good team, so I don't think that loss is going to age too poorly on Alabama, but they are going to have to claw their way back up into this playoff area. 17, I've got Texas A&M, Mehrob. This is an A&M team that finds a way to start off hot every year, but this is also a Texas A&M team that doesn't really know how to finish the season. They haven't quite had the finishes to the season the way that they want to go. We'll see what happens when they get into SEC play. Tennessee at number 16, rounding off this section. They've looked really good. Took care of business against Syracuse, a bad defense, and then took care of business against an FCS school, again, a bad defense. They get a real big test against Georgia, Mehrob, this week. That is going to be a huge, huge battle, probably the best game of this week, at least on paper. I'm very excited for that one.
I mean, that's my game of the week right there, Jeremy. I mean, you got the number 6 in the top 25 right now. You got the number 6 Georgia Bulldogs going up against the Tennessee Volunteers. This is a classic hard fought SEC rivalry, and I can't wait to see it. This is a Tennessee offense led by Joey Aguilar that's going to be really tough to beat. I mean, they're a really strong offense all around, very potent in terms of Aguilar throwing the ball. They have Star Thomas as their running back. They have a lot of great weapons, and their defense is not terrible. I wouldn't say it's great, but it's not terrible. I mean, you give up 26 points to Syracuse, 17 points to ETSU. This is going to be a big time game for the Volunteers to kind of put themselves on the map, kind of gauge how good this team's going to look this year. And honestly, the same way for Georgia. And we'll get to them probably in a little while as we go up the rankings. But this is a Georgia team that's only beaten Marshall and this team, Austin, PA. I'm not sure if you know where Austin, PA is. I've never heard of that college, but they got absolutely squandered by the Georgia Bulldogs. So this is a big game for both these teams. A good bar setter to see where these teams are going to be looking at in terms of the top 5, top 10 possibly in the top 25. And I'm excited to see it. It's my game of the week.
Yeah, absolutely. Moving on a little bit higher here, 15-11 here, Nolan. Iowa State played in week 3. Those teams that play in week 0 over in Ireland, the team that loses tends to have a bad season. Kansas State was ranked in the top 25, falls all the way out of it, is nowhere near it at this point after another couple of bad games after that one. And of course, Florida State from last season loses to Georgia Tech, but I don't know if this Iowa State team really has the juice to keep it going forward. They have a couple big wins. They just won against a rivalry team, the Cy-Hawk Bowl against Iowa, as they play every single week in week 2. That was a big win. It was an ugly win, as you might expect every time Iowa and Iowa State play. It is, but that was a big win for them. They stay up here, move up a little bit. Clemson moves down again, number 14. I thought Clemson was going to win the national championship game before anything started in the preseason. They have looked really bad. A loss to the Tigers at LSU in week 1 at home, and then they get Troy in week 2, and they almost lose that game. They were really struggling, especially early. I think a weather delay kind of saved their butts in that one. They were not going to win that game, I don't think. Maybe they would have. I'm sure they would have found a way to pull it out. But the fact that they were losing for so long against Troy really deserves a nice hard look in the mirror, and Dabo Swinney's got to figure out what makes that team tick. Cade Klubnik needs to figure out how to get that offense going. They need to figure that out really quickly before they get into ACC play. At 13, how about the underdogs, the golden children of the college football world this year, the USF Bulls? The Bulls go out week 1, take out number 25 ranked Boise State, the reigning Group of 5 champion, as I'll call it, the winner of that Group of 5 playoff spot. Then they stroll into the swamp, number 13 ranked Florida, and they take care of business, a walk-off field goal, the first time they had ever beaten Florida in their history, this time in the swamp against the 13th ranked Gators. Gators aren't even in my near top 25 after that loss, but South Florida still a really good team. They get one more test this week, and that test is against Miami, the 5th ranked team in the nation right now. If they win this game, they've beaten 25, 13, and 5 in the first 3 weeks of the season. That is by far the best resume in the country. Again, if they beat Carson Beck and the Canes, who arguably look like the best team in the nation right now. So that is not going to be an easy task at all. I don't expect them to get it done, but hypothetical game, play that game with me, Nolan, here. That is a huge win. How far up they could climb. They could potentially climb up, I think, to the top 5, where Miami is currently sitting right now if they get that win this week. Illinois at number 12. They've had very high stakes all season long. They win games. I don't think they should have won that game at Duke. Duke just kind of played themselves out of it. Too many turnovers, a muffed punt, 2 players wearing number 8 on a punt return, interceptions, fumbles, you name it. Everything that could have gone wrong went wrong for that Duke squad, and they lose that game in a game that really they dominated. And at number 11, I've got Oklahoma. The Sooners with the only top 25 victory in a top 25 versus top 25 matchup. They take care of Bryce Underwood and the Michigan Wolverines. John Mateer looks really good. he's a Heisman hopeful right now. Of course, it's a little early. We saw the Sooners start off hot last year in non-conference play, but they get a big win against Michigan, and this year I feel like is going to be a little bit different for the Sooners over there.
Yeah, I mean, this honestly Oklahoma team is probably one of the best looking Oklahoma teams we've seen in a while. Like you said, they always start off pretty strong in non-conference play. Granted, they did just play Michigan, who at the time was ranked 14, so they obviously just beat a top 15 team, even though it's out of conference. It's still a top 15 team. But yeah, they're in the SEC now. They're playing some. This is a very, as always, a competitive SEC conference. So we're gonna have to see come past week 3 if this team can really handle what's built in the SEC. They can beat, teams like Texas, Georgia, Bama, whatever they got thrown at their schedule. It's never going to be easy. So if Oklahoma can honestly manage to get a few wins in the SEC, I think this Oklahoma team is legit. I think they are. Their offense is like top 10 overall, and just overall just doing everything. Just top 10 passing, top 10 rushing, top 10 just everything. Their defense is the same way. They're just a great defensive team. This Oklahoma team is good. I think they're legit. Hopefully I'm not wrong. But my favorite team right now that I want to talk about, South Florida. I mean, obviously we all know about South Florida just coming out of nowhere. This team reminds me of like Boise State last year, kind of just coming out of nowhere and just becoming a national team. Not really, a player on the team, not really a superstar player. They just have enough good players to where they're getting it all done on both sides of the ball. And I really believe that if they manage to go in and beat Miami, I agree with you. I think they'll be a top, maybe not top 5, but like a top 8 team. I think they will be. I think they obviously would have the best resume of any team in college football this year. Not only this year, but by far. They'll have the best resume this year by far. And honestly, the past few years, I mean, beating 3 top 25 teams the first 3 weeks while going into the season unranked while having no one believe in you besides probably your own fans, like your own students, that's got to be like some sort of Cinderella story, right? So, I mean, yeah, this South Florida team, if they go into Miami and beat them in, at Hard Rock, they're a top 8 team, maybe top 5, but they're looking good. But Iowa State, I think Iowa's defense has always just been their gritty team. They're like Iowa's like Pittsburgh. They're just like the Steelers. Not the best offense, elite defense. And Iowa was holding them pretty low all game. It was like a 13-3 lead, Iowa State, and then Iowa came back, and Iowa State won, but it was a gritty win. Iowa always puts their players to the test. And they have some good players, man. They do have some good players. One of my favorite players in Iowa is Carson Hansen, the running back. I think he kind of not really, but reminds me of Cam Scadaboo, just aggressive, lowers his head. I like that. But I think Iowa State's pretty good. I think their win over Iowa is kind of a big I feel like that win over them is going to kind of give them some momentum, beat their in-state rival, a gritty defensive team, and just push forward from there. And to end it off for me, Illinois. Illinois is one of the best teams in the Big Ten. They have obviously a very underrated, I guess, not really underrated, but Heisman caliber quarterback, Luke Altmaier, 513 pass yards already. I mean, this Illinois team is looking good. They were good last year. They're going to be good this year. I think they could easily finish top 3, honestly, in the Big Ten. But yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot to like. Iowa even wears the same colors as the Steelers over there, so there's a lot of similarities between those two I guess franchises, schools and teams over there. Getting into our top 10, Mehrob, I have your dark horse, your darlings, the South Carolina Gamecocks, sitting at number 10. This is a team that, led by Lenore Sellers, is dangerous week to week, but their offense has not quite shown that they're going to be as elite as they were at the end of the year. I want to see more out of them. The defense has looked pretty solid, but they still struggle a little bit. They struggled against a Virginia Tech team that got stomped by Vanderbilt in the next week. That is another SEC team. I don't know how well that bodes for them heading into conference play, but I do like this South Carolina squad a lot, and we keep them in the top 10. Number 9, how about Florida State, the Seminoles, with a big jump, really a reverse from last season when they were ranked in the top 10 and then fell all the way out after 2 weeks. Now they're back in the top 10 in my rankings. They looked really good. 73-0 victory last week. They take out Alabama, obviously, in week 1. That is a team that's ready to go. They want revenge for whatever last season was. They got a new stadium. The Seminoles are going to kick it into high gear, and I love that team. Texas at number 8. Arch Manning looked a lot better. Again, it was not against the top-level caliber of opponent like Ohio State, but still, he looked a lot better, and there's stuff to like from this Texas team. Georgia has a big test. I haven't loved the way that Georgia's looked at number 7 for me, but they have a big test coming up against Tennessee. If they win that game, they are in that elite top tier kind of company that can potentially win a national championship, but that offense just haven't quite seen it out of them this year, and I'm a little bit concerned. And at number 6, Mehrob, Notre Dame. I love CJ Carr. They've only played one game. They were on a bye week last week, or on a little bit of an idle, as college football likes to call it. They were idle last week because you get 2 byes. Notre Dame lost to Miami in a tight game. Miami looking like potentially the best team in college football right now. Not quite up there for me at number 1, but still in my top 5. Notre Dame looked really good. CJ Carr, the true freshman quarterback, really stepped up, played a great game of football there. They're at number 6 for me heading into week 3.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a really legit list out of you, Jeremy. I mean, this is gonna be a really fun college football season. And I mean, I'm just one of those guys. I'm one of those guys that it's really tough to judge a team based on these last couple weeks so far. But I mean, based off what we've seen in terms of the competition some of these guys have faced, some of the teams these teams have played, I think this is a legit list, and I like it so far across the board.
All right. Heading into the top 5, guys. This is when we really get down to it. Oregon with a massive win. Massive against Gundy and the Oklahoma State Cowboys, excuse me. Not the Sooners, the Cowboys there. 63-3. They dominate that game. It's not like it's a FCS school. That was a Power 4 school, and they just humiliated them. That was not a good look for Oklahoma State, but a great look for this Oregon team that was the number 1 in the country last year at the end of the regular season. Number 4, I've got LSU. We have, of course, a Heisman front-runner kind of guy in Garrett Nussmeier, potential number 1 pick guy in Garrett Nussmeier. The Nuss bus has left the station, and if you're not on it, it might be a little bit too late. It might make a stop here now and then, but that is a team that's raring to go. That LSU defense looked really good against Clemson. I was really impressed by that, but maybe that's just the anemic Clemson offense, slow-starting Clemson offense that we saw at the beginning of last season as well, so maybe we pump the brakes a little bit on how good that LSU defense was. Miami at number 3 for me. Like I said, all ranking long, this is a Miami team that potentially is the best team in the nation. Carson Beck is playing like that projected number 1 overall pick that he was last season. He has the best weapons he's ever had in his career, and if he keeps playing like that, Miami is going to be a serious threat to have 2 number 1 overall picks 2 years in a row. Penn State at number 2, they've kind of just been chilling there. They haven't played anybody yet, but they were this high to start the season, and there was no reason to bring them down because they haven't lost and they haven't looked that bad. And that leaves, of course, the Buckeyes. Ohio State, Nolan, at number 1 at that spot after they took out Texas in week 1. The Buckeyes remain atop the college football power rankings, college football top 25 yet again this week. Again, there just wasn't a lot of movement because they played a cupcake team, but they took care of business. They dominated like they should, and they showed that they deserved to be near the top.
Ohio State will, as much as it hates me to say this because I don't like Ohio State, they will be, they will be the king of college football this year. I mean, they're just going to be the team. They're not gonna, I don't think they'll win it at all. I think they'll be the number 1 team in the league or in football just for the entirety of the season. They're just so well talented. Obviously, you have Jeremiah Smith. You have, he's just the best receiver in football. No doubt about it. You have Julian Saint, who's actually played pretty well. They just played Grambling State. I mean, he played good for his debut game against Texas, against an elite Texas defense, and he comes out against Grambling State, throws for God knows how many yards, and met plethora of touchdowns. Yeah, I mean, Ohio State, they're only going to get better, especially with this new young quarterback. They're only going to get better. And then one team I like LSU. I think LSU and Oregon are both teams I really like. I think LSU, even after losing Bryce Underwood, they got Garrett Nussmeier, and he is just proven himself to be, honestly, so far a better quarterback than Bryce Underwood. He has better stats. He has more receptions, more completions, more yards. He has more touchdowns. He's done everything better. He has more weapons at LSU than Michigan has, but still he's been proven to be a better quarterback than Bryce Underwood. And Oregon, I really believe that hey, I don't know, maybe I'm going to say it. Maybe it's Oregon's finally, it's their year. I think this is finally Oregon's year where they get over the hump, where they get over they can't win the big game. They're like Penn State. They can't win, the big game, the national championship. They can't win it. I think this is really the year. They are just so talented. It is unbelievable. They honestly have the most talented team probably in college football. And I think that if they play their cards right, which hopefully they do, because honestly, I like watching Oregon. I think they're a team. I've rooted for them when I was younger. I loved Marcus Mariota. I fell in love with him. I fell in love with Oregon when he was there. And I think that this year is really Oregon's best year to do it. I think this is their best roster they've had the past few years, and I think this is the best year they can do it. They're just so well. They're just so good.
Absolutely. There's a lot to like about these teams at the top of the list here, but we are going to take a quick little transition here. We're going to move off of college football and on to Thursday night football. Before we do, though, remember, you can check us out all over the internet. You can find us everywhere that you get your podcasts. That's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, everywhere that you can possibly think of watching a podcast. It is there for you. You can find us on YouTube at Triple Threat Show, Twitch at 3 Threat Show, and on Instagram at 3 Threat Show _, as well as on TikTok at _Triple Threat Show. Follow me at Jeremy _L everywhere as well, and follow Nojo on TikTok at least, and Rob Sports Take on TikTok as well. Check us all out there if you want to see more content from us. But like I was saying, we have to finish off our show here with a Thursday night preview. We are not going to be live tomorrow, but this is a potential NFC championship game preview in Lambeau Field. Historic Lambeau Field, the host of so many historic big games before. We see now this Commanders team led by Jaden Daniels go in as a team that people are trying to knock off, and this Packers squad that, after trading for Micah Parsons, is arguably the best team in the NFC. These are two juggernauts of the NFC, and I would not be shocked if we see these teams meet up sometime in January if everything goes as planned. Both of these teams dominated week 1 against division opponents. The Commanders against my Giants, and the Packers against your Lions over there, Nolan. It was not a good week for either of us, but still, there is not really a good week for all three of us, actually. All of our teams lost, but this game is going to be amazing. Is Jaden Daniels going to turn it on? Is this Commanders offense going to turn it on, be less sloppy? They had over 10 penalties for over 100 yards last week against the Giants. Didn't cost them because they were playing the Giants, but if you do that again against this Packers team, they are going to take advantage of that. The way that Jordan Love was playing, the way that the wide receivers were playing, the way that Josh Jacobs was playing, and especially the way that that defense was playing, that is going to be a much tougher matchup for both of these squads, I think. This is going to be an elite game on Thursday Night Football, and it's an amazing way to kick off Thursday Night Football on Amazon Prime. Mehrob, what do you think of this game?
Honestly, ever since I saw the schedule released, ever since I saw Micah Parsons get traded, I've been looking forward to this game. This is one of those games that you don't see a whole lot of. You saw Sunday Night Football between the Ravens and Bills. I think this is going to be a similar situation with the Packers and the Commanders. I said it, what was it, yesterday? It was yesterday. That I think Sunday Night Football was a preview of the AFC Championship, and this is a preview of the NFC Championship. These are two teams that will most likely see each other. These are most likely two top teams in the NFC squaring off in week 2 on a Thursday night, on a short week. And you brought it up. I think if the Commanders want any chance of winning this game, they're going to need to clean it up on the offensive end. They cannot have a sloppy penalties. They cannot have the false starts, the formation issues that they were having against the Giants, because those are simple mistakes that Jordan Love's hard snaps, he'll take advantage of those. Those are the mistakes that a Micah Parsons will take advantage of. We're going to learn a lot about that entire Washington Commanders offense because, I mean, if the Lions gave us any preview as to how good this Packers D-line is, sorry, Nolan, Jade Daniels is going to need to be running for his life. Now, I'm happy because if he scrambles and anybody else has Jaden Daniels in fantasy football, they're going to get points off Jaden Daniels' scrambling ability. But he's going to be running for his life out there. That offensive line is not built to be dealing with Preston Smith and Micah Parsons on opposite sides. It is an absolute beast of a defensive line in Green Bay, and I'm really worried to see how that's going to play out. On the other side with the Packers, how's Jordan Love going to play against that D line of the Commanders? How is he going to be throwing the ball with Sanders still on the back line? Across the board, this is a lot. There's going to be a lot at stake for both of these teams. It's a true test for both of them, and I just cannot wait to see it because we're going to find out who the best team in the NFC is by Thursday night.
Yeah, you talk about the defenses for both of these teams, and I think that's where I kind of want to start this matchup because the defenses for both of these teams are much improved from last year. The Commanders, you talked about it. Mikey Sanders still year 2. You have a really, really comeback kind of season from Marshawn Lattimore, a rookie in Trey Amos, who looked really good against Malik Neighbors in week 1. There's a lot to like about this Commanders defense. Dietrich Wise, who stepped up huge, as well as Javon Kinlaw on the inside, who shut down that Giants running game. It's going to be a lot harder against Josh Jacobs and those receivers for the Packers, and of course Russell Wilson versus Jordan Love. But that defense looked really good. We talked about that Packers defense already. Sure, they lose Jair Alexander, but if that Sunday night game was anything to say, that's not too big of a loss. He didn't look too good for the Ravens out there. But Micah Parsons, in half of a game, sort of, maybe even less than half of a game, 3 quarterback pressures, 1 sack, and a forced interception against Jared Goff, and a much better offensive line in the Lions than the Commanders have. That's not to say that the Commanders don't have a good offensive line, Nolan. This is a very good offensive line. They trade for Laramie Tunsil in the offseason. They draft Josh Connerly. They have a really solid interior if everyone's able to stay healthy. This is a good Commanders squad, a good Commanders offensive line, but I think at the end of the day, this comes down to whose defense is going to play better against both of these elite offenses coming in to try and put points up against them.
I completely agree. Just for the record, I think I have Terry McLaurin in fantasy. I might bench him this week. I just think that Green Bay secondary, Green Bay's just defense now is just too good they're just so just well rounded. Obviously, Micah Parsons. Then you have Quay Walker. You have Javon Bullard, Xavier McKinney. You just have a loaded defense on all 3 levels, and it's just they're just a reliable defense. We saw them lock down Detroit. We saw them lock down Amon-Ra St. Brown, a top 10, top 5 receiver in the NFL. Saw them lock down Jameson Williams. Played good defense against Sam Laporta. I mean, they were just locking all the Lions receivers down all day, and they couldn't get anything done. Even in the run game, the Lions, Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery, they couldn't run the ball on that Packers defense. The Packers defense is legit. This is a very good defense, even if they didn't have Micah Parsons. Maybe they still would be good. Obviously, wouldn't be nearly as good as they are right now, but their defense would still be a league even without Micah Parsons, in my opinion. But this Packers team, their defense especially looks just super good. And their offense, obviously, you have Jordan Love, who's really taking steps into becoming, their next. He's already their franchise. He's their new guy, but he's looking to be the next Lambeau star. He's looking to be, the Aaron Rodgers, Brett Favre. He's looking to be that guy. Then you have Josh Jacobs at running back. I mean, he's just a touchdown machine. He's just scoring every week. He's had, I believe, 8 or 9 straight weeks of scoring a touchdown. I mean, he's just efficient. You have Jaden Reed, Matthew Golden, Tucker Kraft. I mean, their offensive weapons are good, and their offensive line is just as good. This Packers team is just so good, and on both sides of the ball. I hate to admit it as a Lions fan, but they're good. I hate saying that, but they're legit. It sucks, man, because I hate seeing the Packers do good, but I can't deny the fact that, they're going to be legit. And this is literally, funny enough, I think this will be the exact situation the NFC Championship will be in. In Lambeau Field, Packers versus Commanders. I feel like it's going to be at Lambeau. Packers could take the 1 seed.
I brought it up, and I kind of I titled that segment this, but that was a little bit of an overreaction for me. You still have a lot of really good teams in the NFC, but that is a real possibility. This is a Packers team that did look like the best team in the NFC last year. Last week. This is a Commanders team that is super exciting, and we'd love to go and see them, play in a second straight NFC championship game. It is going to be an amazing game on Thursday Night Football. Mehrob, there are really important keys to the game. We talked about the offense, right? But we talked about the defense, but the offense on the other side is going to be just as important. For the Commanders, you have Terry McLaurin, you have Bill Krosky-Merritt, who is the NFC leader in rushing yards after one game. That's crazy. 7th-round rookie stepping up, playing an amazing game against that Giants defense. You have Deebo Samuel, who had a huge impact in his debut game for the Washington Commanders. Of course, you have Jaden Daniels, who, in my opinion, is the 6th best quarterback in the NFL, just below Justin Herbert and the Big Four. This is a really, really good Commanders offense, and we talked about that upgraded offensive line already, but it's not like there's a slouching offense on the other side. Jordan Love is playing really good football right now. We talked about it in our last show. Matthew Golden didn't have his greatest game, but he had a really good, impactful game for them. Despite only having 2 receptions, he was able to help in a lot of other ways. Josh Jacobs is going to play a huge part for a Commander going up against a Commanders team that really struggled with the run last year. Now they have some corners. They don't have to put so much effort into stopping the run, or maybe they can put more effort into stopping the run and stop helping out the maybe worst cornerback group in the NFL from last season. That is going to help them in the run defense. But the keys to the game here, I think running the ball is going to be a huge part against each of these defensive fronts, and controlling the play, controlling the amount of time that your defense gets to rest, the amount of time that your offense has the ball, I think is going to be a huge indicator on who wins this game.
I mean, no doubt about it. I just want to take a quick second. Let me take a quick second. Jeremy, real quick, list your top 6 quarterbacks in the league right now.
I can do that for you. We'll go in order.
You said Jaden Daniels is below Justin Herbert?
Yeah, I'll give you my top 6 here. I can give you a whole 32 if you want me to. I've got that up here, but I can give you my top 6. We've got, of course, Patrick Mahomes, number 1, Lamar Jackson, 2, Josh Allen, 3, Joe Burrow, 4, Justin Herbert, 5, Jaden Daniels, 6.
That's valid. I can get behind that. I like that.
So you have Lamar and Joe Burrow over Josh Allen right now?
No, I have Joe Burrow 4th, Josh Allen 3rd.
Then who's second?
Lamar.
Then who's first?
Patrick Mahomes.
Now listen.
Allen has to be 1.
He doesn't. Great. He's not.
I think Lamar is the best quarterback in the NFL right now. But
yeah. Lamar gets the riches of a Derrick Henry. That's why I don't put him more. I have Jalen, Mahomes, Lamar, and then I have Jaden Daniels at 4.
Wait, you have Jalen Hurts at 1?
No. Josh Allen. I said Jalen.
Oh, they said. I think you said Jalen. I'm like, Jalen Hurts. Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Jalen Hurts in top 5 conversation.
I think Josh Allen is an absolute stud. But getting back into this, I think like I said before, it's going to be up to Jaden Daniels how he handles the pressure of Micah Parsons and that Packers D-line. However, there is another man on the wide receiver core that this team decided to go after and pick up in the offseason that I'm looking at to take over this game. McLaurin's going to be taken out of this game. Matt LaFleur is going to do his best to take McLaurin out of it, take the deep ball out. I think Deebo Samuel's due for a big game in this one. I think he's going to be all around the field. I think they're going to use him across the board. He's probably going to have, I'd say, somewhere between 6 to 9 targets in this game. At least six targets in this game. I think he's going to be across the field, and I'm looking at them to establish him early on. If they can get him going in the first half and then open up the rest of the field, it'll open up Terry McLaurin's deep ball. It'll open up Zach Ertz across the middle. It'll open up the run game, even though they use Deebo Samuel in the run game. Across the board, I think he's the X factor of this game, personally. That's my opinion. Another thing, Packers secondary got a lot worse this offseason. Losing Jair Alexander was a big loss for them. I know they drafted a couple cornerbacks, but I'm looking at Jaden Daniels to test that secondary early on, because we know how good the front four is. We know how the second line is at the linebacker position. But how good is that secondary? Jared Goff didn't test him a whole lot. He was dumping the ball off a lot. We saw a couple passes to Laporta, but not a whole lot downfield, because he just couldn't. The pressure was just in his face before he could even look downfield at Amon-Ra. I'm looking at them to figure that out early on, and Deebo Samuel is the X factor to this one.
Jared Goff wasn't also passing downfield because their secondary was locking down the entire offense for the Lions the entire day. I don't know if you saw like any of like the Twitter highlights or anything, but there was this picture I saw where it was like a picture of like every drive from the game for the offense of the Lions, and the linebackers and the corners and the safeties just had it like locked down. They were just playing the perfect defense for the Lions scheme. Granted, the Lions scheme is a lot more basic now compared to what they had last year. Obviously, you lose Ben Johnson, but I mean, the Lions just had no offense. Their wide receivers just couldn't get anything done because of how good the Packers secondary was playing against them. I'm not saying your take is bad. I'm just saying the Packers secondary is definitely a lot better than you're making this out to be. That's all I was saying.
It also helps that Micah Parsons and that pass rush are getting home. The thing that makes a secondary look as good as possible is a really good defensive front, because the less time a quarterback has and the less time a wide receiver has to get open, the easier it is for a corner or safety to cover. More time, the wide receivers are going to get open. That's just the way it works in the NFL. Keys to the game for the Commanders here. I've got 3 of them here. First of all, we have to go with slowing Micah Parsons. You have to slow down Micah Parsons. You're not going to be able to stop Micah Parsons, but you have to be able to slow him down. If you can take him out of the game, even in the slightest, a bunch of chip blocks, not let him get more than 1 sack in this one, that is going to be a huge key to your victory. Another key is establishing the ground game. That's what they like to do. If they can get an early lead, or even if they don't get an early lead, if Bill Krosky-Merritt can establish that run game for the Commanders, it's going to be a much easier time for them to get Debo involved on some of these motion plays that Cliff Kingsbury loves, for Jaden Daniels to have some more time in the pocket, for them to set up a deep throw to Terry McLaurin, which is my 3rd key to the game. They need to hit something with Terry McLaurin deep. They missed a couple chances against the Giants. They need to hit at least one. It doesn't have to go for a touchdown, but I'm looking for a 25-plus yard bomb down the sideline. Hitting a Terry McLaurin deep shot is a huge, huge key for me. For the Packers, I've got 3 keys for them as well. The Packers need to get their ground game going. Josh Jacobs needs to get going again. Jordan Love needs to not turn the ball over. You need to win the turnover battle if you are the Packers. And last but not least, you need to contain Jaden Daniels' legs. You have to keep him in the pocket at all costs. I don't care if that costs you a sack. You cannot let him make explosive plays on the ground. Those are my keys to the game for each of these teams. That's the way it's got to go if they're going to win these games.
Yeah,
I agree. I think the Terry McLaurin one is the most important for the Commanders. I think getting Terry McLaurin open is just honestly the best way their offense can operate. If he's open, it's all going to be fine. But if the Packers can close him down, shut him down, their offense is so good now. Obviously, they got Debo Samuel, Zach Ertz. But I mean, I think Terry McLaurin being open or being shut down is going to be the key factor to if the Commanders can win this game or not.
absolutely. And we've been talking about the Commanders a lot. Just jumping over to the Packers side of things, Josh Jacobs is absolutely a key factor. But I'm also looking at the rookie Matthew Golden. Had a quiet day in week 1. When are we going to see him? Jaden Reed caught a touchdown as well. But can Matthew Golden step up in a big spot, especially Jaden Reed hurt right now? Romeo Doubs, I know he's still there. Dontavian Wicks. This is a legit Packers offense, and Jordan Love can deliver the ball when he needs to. Can he get open so Jordan Love can do so?
Absolutely. There's a lot to like about both of these teams. I think I'm going to stick with the Green Bay Packers. I love what this team did in the offseason. I think they've looked really solid. And as good as I think both of these teams are, I think the Packers getting pressure off the edge against Josh Connerly. I think they attack the rookie tackle. And I think Micah Parsons has a big day shutting down as much as you can Jaden Daniels. And I think the Packers escape with a really tight win. Them being at home is a huge part of this too. I think that crowd at Lambeau is going to do wonders. Although I do know a lot of people are traveling from the DC area to go and see that game. So it might not be a full Packers crowd, but they always do a good job of making that house loud and hard for visiting teams. So I'm sticking with the Packers in this one, but I do think this is going to be a real tight game.
Absolutely. Jeremy, one last question for you, because I know we were talking about QBs. Where do you throw Jordan Love in your rankings for QBs?
Jordan Love sits at 13 or 14, somewhere right around there.
It's like 12 or 11 for me.
That's a crazy take.
You have him top
That's a
10?
crazy
Do you have him
take.
top? Do you have
Where
him
do you
top
have
5?
I have him at least top 12, if not fringe top 10.
It's fringe top 10. 13's fringe top 10.
Fringe top
That's
10.
that out there.
Fringe top 10 for sure. Should we do a quick top 10 QB rankings
I'll
across
finish
the
off my top 10 here. We got to 6 here. Mahomes.
So you Mahomes. Yeah. Sorry, you were going top and then right.
Mahomes 1, Lamar 2, Josh Allen 3, Joe Burrow 4, Justin Herbert 5. We have Jaden Daniels 6, Matthew Stafford 7, CJ Stroud 8, 9 is Jalen Hurts, 10 is going to be Baker Mayfield, 11 is Dak. I went a little bit past there. 12 Geno, 13 Jordan Love. There you go. Get to
Smith
Jordan.
12.
behind
Get the man
Geno?
a snap. I like that.
You have
Finisher,
behind
man. He's
Geno?
working. He's working, man. I like that.
No, what's your top 10?
All right. Lamar, Allen, Mahomes. I'm gonna go Herb, Daniels. I'm putting Baker at 6. I think Baker's playing great. Stafford. Excuse me. What am I thinking of? I can't think of his name. Is it crazy to say Kyler Murray's 8?
I think it
Just
is,
saying.
but this is your list.
Yeah, I'm just putting him there. I think he's freakishly athletic for his size, so I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt there. God, I can't think of his name. Oh my god. I have a fantasy. Wait, he's on my fantasy team. Hang on. Give me a quick second here. Oh, CJ Stroud. Sorry, CJ Stroud at 9. And then Geno Smith 10.
Okay. What is the CJ Stroud? Okay.
You don't like CJ Stroud?
I can't.
I mean, he's still got to prove himself, but he's not bad.
I don't think he's there yet. I mean, at least Jordan Love has won a playoff game. Some of these guys haven't even won a playoff game yet.
CJ Stroud has won a playoff game in each of his 2 games, each of his 2 years as a quarterback.
Did he win last year?
Yeah, he won in his rookie year and he won last year.
Jordan Love did?
Not Jordan Love.
No.
CJ Stroud.
Oh, Jane did.
What did CJ Stroud
Stroud.
beat
No.
last year?
CJ Stroud beat the Chargers last year.
Oh, you're right. He did. I forgot about that.
And then he beat the Browns the year
game.
before.
He just
I
dismantled them.
remember he beat the Browns the year before, but I forgot he beat the Chargers. Okay. Well, my top 10, like we said, Josh Allen, Mahomes, Lamar, Jaden Daniels, Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, Jalen Hurts, and probably Jordan Love, and then CJ Stroud, and probably Matthew Stafford at 10.
I respect it. I like the list, boys. Remember, everybody, you can check us out for more takes like this everywhere you get your podcasts, everywhere you get your social media, on TikTok at 3threatshow _ you can at the _triple threat show. You can find us on Instagram at 3threatshow _ Twitch at 3threatshow, and YouTube at triple threat show. Thank you so much for tuning in today. We have been your hosts, Jeremy Lapidus, Mehrob Fatemi, and Nolan Jambor. We will be back on Friday, breaking down all of the football action from the weekend. That's NFL, college football. We'll do power rankings, top 10 for baseball, and break down a massive fight that will be taking place on the 13th of September. Make sure you tune in then. Thank you. Have a good one. Bye-bye.